Let's examine the facts. Let's open the case file. A sealed room, built for mice. Food and water replenished. Nest boxes, tunnels. Clean bedding. No predators. No weather. It was metal and wire, about 9 feet square, designed to be serviced, cleaned, and counted. In July 1968, John B. Calhoun introduced 4 pairs of mice into this controlled enclosure at the National Institute of Mental Health. He called these colonies universes. This one became Universe 25. At first the numbers climb in a pattern that looks almost normal: courtship, nesting, litters, growth. Then the same corridors see the same faces, again and again. Space is not just floor area. It is distance, privacy, and the option to avoid a dispute. The case is famous because it ends without an external catastrophe. Not with famine. Not with plague. Not with a hawk at the door. Instead, the colony changes from the inside. Mothers begin to misplace their young. Fights spill into places that used to stay neutral. Some animals stop courting. Others keep grooming until their coats look perfect. The room continues to offer food and water, and yet the social machinery that turns food into a next generation begins to fail. If we treat this as evidence, we have to be careful. The enclosure is real. The deaths are real. The meaning is contested. Tonight, we are not chasing an allegory. We are watching what happened, in the light available, and naming what we can actually see. I will mark what is documented, and what is an echo from later commentary. Before we go further, we sort the file. Confirmed, reported, unverified. We will use these labels, because the story is often retold with extra pieces. Confirmed. A mouse colony in a mortality-inhibiting setting, the population rose, then births failed and the colony died out. Confirmed, 2, that Calhoun framed the work as a study of social stress under high density, not a simple starvation story. Reported. Observers describe escalated aggression, disrupted maternal care, wounds on pups, and groups withdrawing into corners. Reported, as well, that some mice clustered at particular food sites even when other hoppers were quiet. Unverified. The claim that the enclosure was perfect, or that the population hit a neat maximum and then collapsed like a switch. Unverified, also, the easy translation into human city life, as if a lab pen were a miniature civilization. Some retellings swap mice for rats, move the dates, or add measurements Calhoun never took. Even the famous photo of clustered mice needs context. It shows learned crowding at certain food hoppers, not a single cause of collapse. So we keep 2 ideas side by side. 1. This describes what these mice did in this box under these rules. 2. Any leap from mice to humans is interpretation, not evidence, and interpretation is where myths enter. In this room, even a small phrasing change can turn a study into a fable. The labels are not decoration, they are the chain of custody. We write it down. No drama. Universe 25 sits inside a longer chain of experiments. Calhoun tried to cancel the classic second death pressures he listed: emigration, shortage, weather, disease, predation. Food and water were replenished. Nesting material was supplied. The room stayed warm and dry. Cages were designed so that, on paper, there was always somewhere to sleep, and somewhere to build a nest. What remained was space, and the social math of repeated contact. He also watched a pattern he called the behavioral sink: animals converging on certain resource sites, choosing proximity as a kind of secondary reward, even when empty space existed elsewhere. It is a subtle point. The resource is not only food. The resource becomes the presence of other bodies, predictable and immediate, like a habit. As numbers rose, the colony passed through phases. Growth slowed. Territories broke. Mothers became erratic. Some males stopped courting and started fighting. Others withdrew. Calhoun describes attacks on withdrawn animals who no longer fled, and a chain where victims later became attackers. Then, late in the run, there were adults who did little but eat, drink, and groom, clean coats, damaged social skills. Those details matter, because they suggest a failure of complex behaviors. First, courtship, parenting, and the ability to step away. Not hunger. Not cold. Not predators. A collapse inside the behavior that makes a colony a colony. When the system breaks, it breaks in the relationships, not in the pantry. Now we test the timeline against the report. In Calhoun's account, population increase stopped abruptly around day 560. By day 600, surviving births had essentially ended. He also notes a specific photograph date, February 10, 1970, 681 days after colonization, showing pooled, withdrawn mice near certain food hoppers. Later counts show a shrinking, aging colony. By June 22, 1972, he reports 122 survivors. From the decline, he projects the last male dying on May 23, 1973, about 1,780 days after colonization. These are not rumors, they are the investigators' own numbers. So what explains the break? Hypothesis 1, density. Changed social roles faster than mice could learn them, so courtship, maternal care, and conflict avoidance failed, and reproduction died first. Hypothesis 2, the colony's hierarchy and territorial structure concentrated stress at key sites, so a few hot spots amplified violence and withdrawal even before the enclosure reached its physical capacity. Alternative explanation, observation and method, limited measures, selective reporting, and a design optimized for easy counting, may exaggerate some behaviors and hide others, making the collapse look cleaner than it was. We also remember what the study does not include: no external group, no redesign mid-run, no attempt to rehabilitate withdrawn animals into a stable social order. So the case gives us a dramatic trajectory, but not a tidy answer. It tells us where to look, and where not to claim too much. A careful case file leaves questions open. Was this an experiment about crowding? Or about social structure in an artificial apartment block? The habitat offered abundance, but it also fixed movement, fixed exits, and fixed the meaning of every encounter. In nature, a mouse can leave. In this room, leaving is not a behavior. So the lesson may not be too many bodies, but no way to reset relationships. There is also the ethics of the method. The colony was maintained as distress became visible, because the distress was part of what was being observed. That tension sits beneath every modern retelling. And there is the probability frame: one dramatic run, one species, one architecture, one investigator's lens. Later writers argue about what the design itself encouraged, how tunnels, nest boxes, and choke points shape dominance and harassment. Human studies on density are also mixed, which makes direct analogy fragile. So perhaps the safer use of Universe 25 is narrower. It is a record of what can happen when social contact becomes constant, unavoidable, and unnegotiable. Not a prophecy. A warning about how easy it is to overread a photograph and ignore the conditions that produced it. When people say utopia, ask what was removed, and what was locked in place. The pen is not a city. It has no economy, no choice of neighbors, no plural ways to belong. That difference matters. Calhoun himself used anthropomorphic language, which makes the tale memorable. And also slippery. So here is the last page of the file: a room built to cancel the usual threats. And a colony that still found a way to end. Not because food ran out, but because social behavior became too thin to carry the next generation. That is the strange, quiet center of Universe 25. If you watch this case, watch your own inferences. Which details feel solid, and which feel like metaphor? Which parts are Calhoun's observations, and which parts are the audience's expectations, stitched on later? And if the story makes you think about humans, pause on the gap. Mice do not write laws, design cities, or choose to change the rules. Still, the experiment leaves a trace we can't quite erase. When complex behaviors fail first, abundance does not rescue a population. If you've read the original paper, or you've seen a version that differs, leave the discrepancies in the comments. Time. Stamps, quotes, even small corrections, those are the fingerprints that keep a case honest. We'll pin the reliable ones, and keep the file open. If you want, I can list the key dates and day counts on screen in the next episode. Straight from the sources. Post a source link if you have it. If a claim is popular but unsourced, flag it gently. I will treat every comment like evidence, not applause. One more thing, the experiment is often cited as if it were replicated many times. It was part of a series, yes, but this exact run is still a single file. And when you hear a neat moral, check the footnotes.